Well, I'm Philly Collins.
And I'm Marino Tenaglia.
And we are the Philly and Marino Experience, and you're listening to Wrestling Cheers.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially the werewolf. And we are brought to you by the Trending Topics Network and NEO Sports Insiders. We are a show all about the Northeast Ohio independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and sometimes we even have interviews. This is a preview show, part 1 of the JLIT weekend, and we will be talking about the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament. But before we get into all that, please head on over to Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, and Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Rate, review, and subscribe to us. It's all very much appreciated. Add us to all your favorite social media, especially if that social media is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. We got a merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. Pick yourself up a t-shirt, a tank top, whatever, for this hot weather that we will be receiving over the next couple months and help support Wrestling Cheers. Now, like I said, main thing about this episode, and there will be 2 episodes this week, that's why this is coming out a little bit early, a little bit out of the ordinary, but we have, this Saturday, we're doing a little bit backwards-ish, is we have the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament, Saturday, May 26th, 3 o'clock bell time at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, 1355 West 70th Street, Cleveland, Ohio. Tickets, as of right now, are still available for this show and the whole weekend over at shop.aiwrestling.com. Now, have 2 wrestlers on to help preview this show, and it's going to be a little bit different because as of right now, we don't have any, matchups announced for the tournament, and we have 1 extra match that will get talked about. But let's talk about these participants really quick, and we'll get into the rest of the episode. Is first off, we have the Weird World, Weird Body Evan Adams, and Worldwide Alex Kellar. Nick Iggy and Carrie Awful, the Carnies. Danhausen and Eddie Only of the Production. Big Twan Tucker and Parker Pierce of Party Never Stops. Garrison King and Joshua Bishop, No Consequences. Jock Samson and Mance Warner with the Duke, #Duke Money. Marino Tenaglia and Philly Collins, the Philly Marino Experience. Trey Lamar and Chase Oliver also representing No Consequences. And that rounds out all the teams, all 8 teams. And we also have a 4-way match. A rookie match that we always seem to get for the JLIT weekend. We have Ryder Reed versus Zach Thomas versus Wes Barkley versus TKD. Now we'll get into much more about this in the next 2 guests that we have on. And first off, we're going to have Jock Samson, and then we're going to have Weird Body Evan Adams. So let's get into all that.
What's going on, everybody? This is Joshua Bishop, and you're listening to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name.
And we're back here on the podcast, and this is a special guest here to talk about the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament. He's not only a former guest of this show, well, technically he's never been on Wrestling Cheers, but he was the very first guest and the only person to ever say he was a guest on the Ohio Indie Report before it was an official podcast. So making his long return after almost 6 years, it's none other than Jock Samson.
Hey, how you doing, man?
It's been
good to be back.
It's been a very, very long time since you've been on.
Yeah, when you say 6 years, it doesn't really put in justice of really how time does fly by. My daughter wasn't even born. Now she's 4. So
yeah,
it's definitely weird to hear 6 years in between the first one and now.
Yeah, and it was because of my interview with you that the Ohio Indie Report started, and that's what led into everything. And you actually did return. Actually, no, I keep forgetting. We even talked about this beforehand. You were actually on one more time. We did a JLIT preview one year, oddly enough. It might have been 2013, I want to say, but it was like a year that I did 2 JLIT previews. One with Aaron and Veda, and then right after I did that, I think you hit me up. I was like, oh, let's do a JLIT preview. I'm like, I've already did one, but fuck it, let's do it again. let's have fun with this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I actually remember that now. Yeah, it tells you, time really helps you forget sometimes,
So
it's easy to forget shit.
It's been a good 5 years since you've been on, and you did take a while away from AIW, or maybe, you had your sporadic appearances, which we can expect from many different AIW wrestlers. It's something that happens, but you're now with Duke Money, you and Mance Warner, and I gotta say, I love this formation of a tag team, and I look forward to see what more comes from you guys.
That goes the same with me. As I'm seeing, when I first saw this kid, I saw him up and down the road, and he had this crazy voice, and he sounded like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but with laryngitis.
Yeah.
And I was like, what an interesting son of a bitch. And then I kept following his stuff, and and then now I'm very lucky to have him as my tag team partner, and the old nemesis of mine, the guy who I had the greatest match in the history of my career with, the Duke, brought us together. Yeah. He paid me all that money, pulled all that money out of the wallet. And, nothing speaks louder than some dollar bill, y'all.
The only thing that I thought about this recently, because I actually went back to listen to some old AIW podcast episodes, and it was some from late last year, and they talked about how the Duke brought together, I'm trying to remember both of their names off the top of my head, but one of them being, oh, damn, why am I having a mind freeze right now? Sean Schultz, there we go. Sean Schultz and, God, another guy, I can't remember it. I'm going to try to look up really quick. But they were together. The original guy left, and the people are probably yelling at me of what the other guy's name is, and I know what he looks like off the top of my head. Old AIW wrestler from years back. Wrestled briefly.
Yeah, I'm stumped, brother. He brought these two old fellows together.
But it was like, slowly but surely we got closer to, he was out, so they filled it in with Mance Warner. So Sean Schultz, Mance Warner, great tag team. Because the crowd loved Mance Warner, hated Sean Schultz. So them together to me was an awesome idea and was hilarious. But then Sean Schultz unfortunately had to retire, and you get to step in. So it's like this revolving door to get this perfect tag team. Like, you two weren't even the original two, but now you're here, and Duke Money, just starting out, and like I said, I do love it.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm having a great time with the kid. The only thing I don't like about him is he drinks that light beer shit. I've been trying to get him on the straight course banquet beer from Budweiser or something, not that lame-ass PBR or Bud Light. But, honest to God, he's a pretty good kid. He's a real good talent. He's going to be a name to be reckoned with here way after I'm gone. So very, very, very happy to do this with the kid.
Mike Tolar. That's who I was thinking of. I had to find an old match graphic. Yeah. Mike Tolar, Sean Schultz, and then Sean Schultz, Mance Warner, and now Mance Warner, Jock Samson. So it's interesting, and I maybe think this, and I'm not sucking up to, I think this might be the best combination. Like, I did love the whole fact of, like I said, Mance Warner, everybody loved, but Sean Schultz, everybody hated. Now, you kind of add in some of the same dynamic, but people don't hate you, but everybody hates the Duke.
Well, I don't, it wasn't long ago that when me and Duke were beating the absolute shit out of each other, the people loved it. So I don't know what happened in all these years, but, whatever they love or hate him doesn't really bother me a bit. I've never cared if people loved or hated me very much. So the only thing that really matters is the Duke keeps those payments coming, and we keep getting those winning purses coming. And he says he's going to deliver us a tag team title shot in the future, and hopefully we get that sooner or later, and then I can have my first taste of AIW Gold. So
then we get, the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tournament, and unfortunately, the bracket, or I should say the matchups, haven't been announced. As far as I did understand that it's going to be 4 matches with a 4-way final. But I don't currently know any matchups. and I asked if they knew what the matchups were. And as of this recording, they hadn't been fully decided yet, or at least that's what I'm being told. So I have no idea who you'll be facing. So we're gonna wing it a little bit, and we're gonna talk about select teams here, how you feel about them, maybe some smack talk you want to talk. It's, the floor is kind of all yours on it, but let's start with a double threat. And I mean that almost literally when it comes to this tournament, and that's no consequences. You have one team that is Garrison King, Gary the King Baller, and Joshua Bishop, and then you have the other one of Trey Lamar and Chase Oliver. So this group has 2 entries into the tournament, and you have the potential of going up against one of them, if not both of them. Technically, if they both make it to the finals and you make it to the finals, we'll see how it goes. But how do you feel about both of these teams? Or technically, they're the same team, but you know what I mean.
They're just all aligned with each other. I tell you, I like their style. I like what they do in the ring. They're talented kids. They're young, and I'm gonna tell you, this whole tournament, a bunch of young kids.
Yeah.
Who are eager, who are willing, who will do whatever they want to do, they'll do whatever they're willing to do to sacrifice to take that next step in this business. I mean, and you got to love that about them, but they're young. And I think me and the Duke are the 2 oldest people in this tournament, I think. So we've got all this experience. I got him on the outside and I'm on the inside. It'll be a tough match. They'll fly, and I'm just going to tell you, I ain't going to do shit. I'm going to grab a headlock. Fans want to see good wrestling? Nah, wrong guy for that. You're not going to get that from me, baby. Headlock takeover. They can fly all day long.
I think it's potential in this.
That's basically our strategy.
I think it's potential in this matchup, whether it be Gary the King Baller and Joshua Bishop or Trey Lamar and Chase Oliver, is we could very well see a dab off between you and one of these members. Gary the King Baller, I could see him doing it, and I could see probably Trey Lamar doing it too.
How stupid is it that a 38-year-old man from Appalachia part of Ohio is the one who started doing a dab as a wrestling move, doing a cartwheel, and then dropping out? How am I the first guy to do this?
I have no idea.
What in the hell? Someone took me to the bar the other night and said, "Hey, Jock, I want to teach you some dance moves." They taught me this damn thing called the floss. So I might throw that in there.
All right, keep them keep them on their toes.
Yeah, these kids out there get me. They know I like to drink and they know I like to party. And next thing you know, I'm on the dance floor doing the floss, dabbing on bitches. So I'm having a good time. So hey, if they want to bring their best dab game, come on, bring it.
I think another interesting matchup could be Duke Money versus Party Never Stops. A really good transition when it comes to partying, and just the matchup between maybe yourself and Big Twan Tucker, or even Parker Pierce. And you don't talk about drinking. Actually, we could throw the match out the window, and it could just turn into a drinking contest between the 4 of you.
What are they? 23, 24? I remember my first beer. I don't know if you know this, but I'm sure you do. You've been around a lot of people at AIW. They all know that I'm drunk usually half the time.
Yeah.
I'm an AIW, and I'm really not drunk. I'm really not that drunk. I just drink beer all day long. So if they want to get in a drinking contest, fine. I mean, they're going to lose that too. If they want to get into a fight, they're going to lose that too. I mean, hell yeah. Big Twan's big motherfucker. And the other kid, he says he likes to drink. He says he likes to party, but I've never seen him in an after party. So there it is. I
have, but it's only been one off the top of my head, but then I don't go to a lot of the after parties. So I don't know. That's kind of a good point with, of all people, Parker Pierce, who's kind of known for his, drinking antics. He's the same guy that comes out with a beer bong before a match and tries to get fans to pour beer in it. I mean, granted, you would do the same thing. You just would drink the beer, period.
I mean, you got to play games to get drunk. I've never played a drinking game. You know what my drinking games usually turn into? Bar fights.
Okay.
Or pool. We play pool at bars. We play darts. We play shuffleboard. We pick up chicks. I mean, that's party game. I'm getting a ping pong ball and some cups. I mean, why don't you just sit around and drink? Grab each other's ass. Dumb.
My favorite drinking game has always been, it's pretty easy. A lot of people know it. It's called Drink a Beer. And what you get for winning is another beer. And then you get to play the game all over again.
I win all the time then.
I know. High score, right?
Because I just constantly have a beer. I'm drinking one right now. Beer, coffee, or water, buddy. It ain't nothing else.
So that means since you don't like the light beers, you probably haven't had Bud Light Orange yet.
No, I'm not a girl, so no.
It's not bad. I tried it just because, hey, if you got a different type of beer, I want to try it. It's all right.
Might as well next thing what you going to get next? Bud Light Pink?
What would it taste like, though?
Bud Light Hillary?
Oh.
Hillary Clinton Light?
So what you're saying is, God, this is going to turn off listeners, whatever. But a Bud Light is the Hillary Clinton of beers.
Yeah, it's either that or that nasty-ass PBR.
I've never understood PBR. And I know a lot of fans love it. I'd rather drink almost any other beer but.
I mean, if it was free, yeah, I'd probably drink it, sure.
Yeah.
Free beer's free beer. But and then listeners don't like, I am a hillbilly. Don't be surprised when my politics don't agree with yours.
It's true.
I'm sitting outside. When I get off this phone call, I'm going to go turn Fox News on.
Are you wearing your Make America Great Again hat?
No, actually, no, I'm not even wearing a hat right now, but I can see the bumper sticker on my truck.
Okay.
But even if you didn't vote for Donald Trump and you live down here, you got to have that for safety.
Oh, that's
I don't want to get beat up for not voting for Trump, right? It's like going up to liberal city and having a different opinion than anybody. You just get beat up for no reason, just for disagreeing.
I mean, it's just part of the profiling. You got to make sure you got the right people in.
Hey, buddy.
Speaking of liberal, let's talk about the Weird World, who, depending on how I preference this episode, we are going to have Weird Body on next. So he'll get to say his piece. But another great if we end up getting this matchup, Duke Money versus Weird World, which, I mean, technically we got a little bit at the last show, but like a one-on-one. You talk about a just opposite personalities, opposite styles. This is what you get with, I mean, if you want, it's old, kind of hack, but the whole, you want Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. I mean, this is what we got. Weird World versus Duke Money.
Well, I mean, it's the battle that everybody wants to see. And I'm sure a majority of people up in Cleveland, don't agree with me on this. But, they're good. They're a good team, good young team.
Yeah.
And usually a lot of young kids usually think that way politically. And, even if, it doesn't make any sense, that's fine. Which a lot of liberals, they don't really make a lot of sense, but they're good kids. I know I'm right about all the facts that I have. And the facts are this: if we get in the ring with those two, we're going to beat them so bad that it's going to recreate Donald Trump winning the election.
Oh, so.
And you're going to have to call MSNBC, CNN. You're going to have the chicks from Whoopi Goldberg's going to be crying. All these flaming liberals, they're going to be crying and, mad that the big old mean conservatives punched them in the face and so on and so forth. So
what you're saying, if we get this matchup and Duke Money wins, there's going to be rioting in the streets. Fans are going to need safe places to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, people, if they got kids, they're going to have to ask their kid permission before they change their diaper. We can go on all day about this. I mean, good grief. It's not like my party ended a 60-year war, but, that's none of my business.
What about the Philly Marino experience? How do you feel about them? They're a bit out there. Like, it's another kind of like maybe almost a culture clash, but I feel like the Philly Marino experience, that's, those are two dudes out for a good time, out for fun. I mean, granted, they're out to win, but I don't know.
A little known fact about Jock Samson.
Okay.
I love Phil Collins. Just absolutely love the music of Phil Collins. So they come out to Studio. That's a great song, great number. And they're good kids. They like to fly. They like to raise hell. I've been out to the bar with them several times. Good kids, but can they fight? I've never seen them in a fight. And we don't have wrestling matches. Have you ever seen me exchange holds with anybody?
No.
Never have. You've seen me dive out the ropes, onto someone to get them. You saw me do that, but I've never seen those two in a fight. That's all I know how to do is fight. Hell, when I get off the phone with you right now, I'm going to go in the bedroom. I'm going to tuck my daughter into bed. I'm going to kiss my wife on the forehead. Then I'm going to drive down the street and kick someone's ass at the Rendezvous Bar and Grill in Parkersburg, West Virginia. So, just so we don't have any bad feelings, I hope the matchup doesn't come up. Because I don't want to be punching people I like.
I think there's only two other teams left. I think this other team, I feel like you guys are kind of gunning for. There was some bad blood recently, but the production. You guys don't like, I know a recent result between the production, and if that ends up being a matchup, I know you guys want vengeance.
Well, everybody there saw that we had the upper hand. They saw that we were going to win the match. And then I get hit with a hook, with like a little eye bar.
Yeah.
From the production. What are they supposed to be? What are they, the cast of Glee? I mean, I don't get it.
In the two that are in the tournament.
What is he? What's the one with the face paint? What is Dan Howell? What is he, a juggalo? What has he got, Fago in his bag? You know, what is Eddie Only? What is he, like an amateur tattoo artist? I don't get it. I don't understand why my old tag partner Magnum hangs out with him. I don't get it. Just don't get it, boy. Derek Direction used to be a nice guy, but now he's in there with them Hollywood types, and you know how them Hollywood types are.
Yeah. Don't forget Frankie Flynn.
Oh, yeah. Franklin. Yeah. You know, if I wanted to watch Shakespeare at a wrestling show, I'd go watch Shakespeare. But I just show up to kick people's ass. So I don't know what it is. You bring Eddie Only, you come on, boy. Come on. You bring the Juggalo, bring the Fago. Because I'm going to tell you, just like my Uncle Tracy Smothers, we hate Juggalos. We absolutely despise them. This whoop stuff, whoop shit.
Yeah.
Stupid. Bunch of grown men dressed like clowns. If I want to see clowns, I'd go to the damn circus. You want clowns? Hell, I've wrestled 6 Doink the Clowns.
Oh,
that's
6.
about as clowny as it gets, boy.
Yeah, that's definitely the clowniest.
I mean, they're good wrestlers. They are good wrestlers. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can pretty much write their own ticket for whatever they want. Fantastic. But I just don't get it. You know, I watch TV shows like Blue Bloods, Fox News, good TV, you know. Not this fake stuff, this fake news, fake television, you know. I like that new Kirk Cameron movie that came out. Very good movie.
Do you like InfoWars?
Oh, he's the best. The absolute best. My man, Alex Jones, the best. Man, he's got passion. And besides, hell, if you watch InfoWars is great, but if you watch Fox News for anything, how smoking hot are the chicks on that show, on that TV station?
Yeah, they are.
Like, you could get lost. Beautiful women, all over the place. Then you turn CNN on and some like Bernie Sanders lookalike. So yeah, that's you know, a little bit off the topic, but felt like it needed to be said.
Speaking of juggalos, we have the last team that we haven't discussed. That's the Carnies. You want to talk about Juggalo, who are from the Carnival? We have the Carnies, and yeah, it gets no carnier than this.
Yeah,
you know, Nick.
Hey, they think they're Carnies. Can they speak Carney?
Maybe.
Can they speak Carney? Hey, Nick, Fizzuck, Izu. How about that?
Yeah, I think I understand what that is. I'm not a carny, but
Izuck, busy, Dizuck, Izu. Tell them to get back to me on that. We'll see how big of a carny they are. Sick of this shit.
So
next thing, what are they going to do? Go out there and do a bunch of backflips?
It's potential. Maybe through a flaming hoop.
Jesus Christ!
If you had a chance to pick your opponents for this show for round 1, obviously when you get to the second round, the finals, it's, you know, a 4-way. Who would you choose? What's the one matchup you would want the most out of, just to review them all, we have Weird World, the Carnies, the Production, Party Never Stops, Philly Marino Experience, and 2 versions of No Consequences.
I want you to go ahead and give me the Carnies because, listen, I'm the true Carney. Mance Warner's a true Carney. We work for the Duke. He's our boss. He pays our wages. I bet you assholes have never, ever, ever stood in line and took tickets to get on the Gravitron. Call yourself Carnies. That's fine. Bring all that skill that I know you have. Bring it. Because if we get in the ring, we're going to beat your ass like someone that skipped line to get on the Gravitron. We're going to beat it so bad. We're going to send you back to Tennessee.
And the last thing we need to mention is this being the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament. How does it feel to, you know, be a part of the first Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament? And, you know, what did Chandler Biggins mean to you?
Well, what do you say in a short period of time about somebody who had a big, you know, influence on your wrestling career? I mean, and for one, the weekend in general, like this whole weekend, we're celebrating the lives of 2 men that's meant so much to Cleveland, you know, and actually 2 guys that have been very influential on making Jock Samson somewhat, you know, a recognizable name. The JT Lightning. I mean, I know everyone knows how I feel about that man. But Biggins, you know, and this goes right along with John Thorne. They took a guy who is not a real flashy guy, and they put me in a company where, you know, I don't know if I blended very well because of my style, because I'm a very Southern style. And they, you know, put me in a storyline with the Duke, and it took off. and we stole the show at an Absolution because of them actually believing in me and believing that I could actually be of value to a company such as AIW. But, I mean, I really don't think I have many words. I could be here all day long talking about Biggins. I know every time I saw the man, he always had a hug for me. And he always had some like smart ass little quip at me. And then me and him would sit around and we would talk like old wrestling, like old Smoky Mountain wrestling, old WCW, old WWF, like the old wrestlers that me and him, that was where we connected. Cause we really, really enjoyed talking about the old times stuff. And I still remember him giving me shit, when I wrestled the Honky Tonk Man. And it just kept pestering me, kept coming up and giving it to me, telling me Honky Tonk Man's going to beat your ass tonight. And I knew he was joking, but he's like, Honky's going to stretch you tonight. Little stuff like that. It was a constant thing that throughout the evening, it's just, what a good guy. I know the people in Cleveland are going to miss him, just like I do. He meant a lot to me. I'm very thankful for him. I remember he was the one that called me and told me I was going to be wrestling Buff Bagwell at the JLIT. And, everyone knows the promo that I cut, about, and he was the one feeding me all this stuff. And he was the one that fed me the line, you need to be eating you see Buff Bagwell on Showtime eating a fat woman's pussy. He's insistent that I put that in there, and I didn't know if I wanted to say that. Then I put it in there, and it turned out to be pretty good. And, there's just a lot of memories, that I got with the guy. He was always talking about my abs and saying how I got like the hardest gut he's ever seen, and I'd always joke and say it's probably not healthy, but I can't do nothing about it. Just little stuff, but, we could be here all day, but the man meant a great deal to me. I'm thankful, for the time that he had on this earth because he really was a big influence, just along with JT, in the wrestling scene. He was a guy that I could talk with stuff that wasn't wrestling. So, yeah, absolutely. Blessed to have known him.
All right, let's wrap this part of the conversation with you up, and any final thoughts or last-minute plugs on social media that you want to get out there for the fans.
Well, I would tell the AIW fans, thank you for one, for being some of the coolest assholes that I have ever met and ever spoke to in my life. Not a more respectful fan base than I've ever been around than in there in Cleveland, Ohio. And I would, implore all the wrestling fans, in Cleveland, from all over Ohio to get to Cleveland this week, not this weekend, but I believe it's the 25th and 26th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I got to look at my book. But I would implore all the fans to get to Cleveland, Ohio on the 25th and 26th. Get them tickets to see some of the absolute best wrestling that you're ever going to see. You're going to be entertained. You're going to have fun. You're going to if you come out with me, you're going to get drunk. You come find me at a bar, come out and drink with me. But it's going to be a great weekend. We celebrate the lives of two men who were Cleveland wrestling. God bless you, JT. God bless you, Biggins.
Will there be a breakfast at Bob Evans?
Well, considering that is a southeastern Ohio thing, I am a big proponent of biscuits and gravy, boy. It's the best thing they've ever had there is biscuits and gravy. It's the only thing I've ever ate at Bob Evans in my entire life is good old biscuits and gravy. So there might be. It depends on where I'm staying at, because I'm probably going to get pretty tore up.
All right.
And I'm probably looking for a hotel room for some of the fans up there if they're going to stay all 3 days. Trust me, I'll leave your wife alone if you let me sleep on your floor.
All right. Thanks, Jock.
Hey, man. Thank you.
Hey, this is the handicapped hero, Gregory Iron, and you're listening to the podcast where everybody knows your name. I'm not a good singer, but I tried. Wrestling Cheers.
We're back, second half of the podcast, and you kind of go a night and day type difference. We first have Jock Samson. So what's the opposite of Jock Samson? Well, it's none other than one half of Weird World. We have Weird Body, Evan Adams. How's it going, Weird Body?
It's going well, Justin. How's it going over there?
It's going good. And this, we got this weekend. We have the whole JLIT weekend. Is what I happened to mention to someone else recently is this is kind of like the WrestleMania weekend of AIW. And it's, I mean, obviously it's not the biggest night of the year or nights of the year, but I think with all the fans coming in, like some out of a little bit out of the area, and just having the 2-day event, 3 shows, it's kind of just that little taste of WrestleMania weekend in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely if you're from the West Coast or just an area where it's inaccessible to get to Cleveland on a regular basis, I think this is the time of the year that you come out and you make a trip and see what AIW has to offer. It's usually the 3 shows, the 2 after parties, and then usually Colt will host an Art of Wrestling podcast taping. I'm not sure if he's doing it this year, especially with the change in format, but it's something to watch, it's more than just the wrestling. It's more than a night of wrestling. It's a weekend of bathing in the community, maybe, is a way to put it.
Yeah, I think with the format change for Colt, I don't think there's going to be a live Art of Wrestling. He might have, moments from, the weekend on his show that he'll record, but I think that'll pretty much be it. And the other thing is Saturday there, and I'm going to probably mention it a lot on this episode as well as the JLIT episode, the fact that there will be tailgating before day 2, before the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tournament. So that, I think that's supposed to start at around noon. I don't know if it's starting at noon or food should be ready at noon. I'm not sure how that is. And with it being a Saturday, we're going to have open reign of when we can want to show up. So I know there's a seminar at 10 for, obviously for wrestlers, but I figure, in between 10 and noon is going to be a perfect time for fans to show up and start tailgating, if not, and just kind of hanging out. And it is kind of like what you said of, bathing in the community, just basking in everything that is. And I think last year was just so crazy because we had everything that we had on top of, there was the movie shooting, if you wanted to be a part of that, which I was crazy enough to do. So I went to the after party day 1, went back to a hotel room, got 2-3 hours of sleep, if that, woke up, grabbed a hotel breakfast, and then headed on, to the venue to be a part of the shooting. And I was just up so long. I think that was definitely one of those nights that when I went home and went to bed, it felt so good and relaxing.
Yeah, that Sunday or maybe, that Sunday when you really just sleep is great. I usually don't wake up until 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and it's really, my body needs all that rest after the crazy weekend.
And I know, after AIW shows, at least for me, I'll always get that kind of wrestling hangover where the next day I might not have drank anything and I still kind of I feel run down and all this stuff. And definitely after JLIT weekend, that Sunday, it's so much worse because you just had 2 days of the same thing. And always the second day is amped up a little more. Technically Friday, which is a normal show, is a pregame of day 2, which is going to be twice as crazy.
Yeah, and with Friday isn't even, I wouldn't even call it a normal show because it's 12 single matches, and that's normally an AIW card runs anywhere from 8 to 10 matches, so that's an extra 2 matches, and the format is the same throughout. So it really is even if you can only get to night 1, it's still a spectacle in itself. I remember the only AIW show I attended before signing up was JLIT, I believe 24. I had him in 2013, night 1, and that was just a show in itself because just from the wild matchups and just different combinations of single wrestlers that you can put against each other and really just have them make the show their own. And then on top of that, the next day you have 2 full shows. One this year is the a tag tournament, so that's more shows, and then we have the Fatal 4-Way, more matches, and then night 2 where we finish it up and then add even more matches on top of that. So you're looking at least 30 matches over the course of a weekend, and that's a lot of wrestling even for wrestling fans,
Mm-hmm. So getting into the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament, you are one of the teams involved in this tournament, and unfortunately like I'd mentioned on the first half, we don't have an official bracket. No bracket, no matchups as of this recording. I wouldn't be surprised if in between this recording and when this gets released, there might be an official matchups announced. But unfortunately, we don't have that privilege, but we can have some fun with this. And the fact of it's not a very big field. I mean, we have 8 teams, so take out your team, Weird World. There's only 7 options of opponents that you have, and we could talk about every single one of them. And let's start with probably the one team that you guys have the most history with as a whole, but you're only getting the potential of facing just 2 of the members, and that's the Production, which the Production has been a pretty dominant team as a whole coming into AIW, and now they have a chance to take it to the next level and win this tournament.
So with this tandem of the Production, I'm actually very upset, disappointed. With my problem with Frankie Flynn and Frankie Flynn foremost. I respect all members of the Production as competitors, and I think that as singles or maybe even in tag competition, they can shine, but they don't have to have Frankie Flynn guiding them and forcing them to do evil tasks. So seeing Eddie Only and Donovan Downhausen be the tag team representing the Production in this tournament, it's pretty upsetting because I don't have any personal beef with either. I'd like them to realize the error of their ways, but really they're just sending the C squad of the Production, and if we face them first round, they're going to get dispatched, and they're going to just we'll prove how deep the Production's ranks really are.
So basically, what you're saying is calling them the C squad. This is the understudies of the understudies of the Production.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, these are, I mean, to me, they're the people who, stand outside of film premieres and ask how to get in the business, you know, and Frankie Flynn, was an extra maybe at some premiere, and he showed him, his way, which is an evil way. It's not the way you make it to Hollywood. It's not the way you become a superstar, Frankie Flynn. Cut it out.
So it will be interesting to see how the Production does, because like I said, with not only their history with you guys, but just in general. And also, I mean, we don't know if there will be anybody with them, because there is one member of the Production that is not scheduled for a match in the entire weekend as of right now, and that's Derek Director. We have 2 members in the JLIT tournament itself, Magnum CK and Frankie Flynn, and then we have the other 2 here in this match. That leaves Derek as, well, probably I'm guessing the director of the night, or the nights, or the weekend, where he's going to be that wild card factor outside of the ring.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that. I've definitely told Will a lot about that. We've been preparing with that in mind. But for Derek Director, he's really only going to film, I mean, I think 3 scenes over the weekend. First, when Frankie Flynn loses in the first round. Second, when Magnum loses in the first round. And third, when the Production team loses in the first round. That's the only time you're going to see Derek Director that weekend. He's gonna try and interject himself into the matchups, but he's gonna fail. And that's a guarantee. That's a Weird World guarantee.
That's, I don't know, Magnum losing to Swoggle? Like, okay, I can understand Filthy Tom Lawler.
He's the tag champion. What are you saying here? Are you saying that Magnum CK is better than an AIW tag team champion? Because I don't buy that. I personally do not buy that. That's a hard sell for me. And I respect Magnum. I think he's a hell of a worker, but better than Hornswoggle? I mean, the man, he just had a triumphant return to the WWE. You know, could have won the thing, but you know, he still competed, at the top echelon of professional wrestling. So I think Swoggle's got this in the bag, barring Derek Direction, pulling any shenanigans.
I don't know. I kind of think that you can have Magnum CK beat Swoggle, and that would pretty much give the Production a shot, an open shot at the tag team championships. Because they beat PB.
listen, if they're in the JLIT to prove that they're the best singles competitors. If they want to prove they're the best tag competitors, Frankie Flynn and Magnum CK should have joined the Chandler Biggins Cup. Instead, they're sending Donovan Donhausen and Eddie Only, and we're going to eat their lunch, straight up.
There's another team, and it may be a little bit unfair that they have 2 opportunities to win the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament, and that's no consequences. You have, I don't know what you call it, which one is Team A and Team B, but, the first one, we have Gary the King Baller and Joshua Bishop, and then we have the second team of Chase Oliver and Trey Lamar. This is another team that I believe you guys are pretty familiar with.
Yeah, no consequences. We've had our run-ins. I've personally seen each member just come up through the AIW school, and I like them. I like no consequences. I don't like just their attitude, their name, really. No consequences. No, that's not how you live life. There are consequences for everything you do, positive or negative, and you have to live that way. They've been living no consequences for a year, and they really haven't gotten anywhere. At this point, Gary the King should be in contention for at least the Intense title. I don't remember them having a tag title shot of any sort, and I understand that they're still young, and I understand that they still have a lot of growing to do. But with the impact and the ferocity of their debut or formation, rather, I expected more out of them, and maybe they're going to show up this weekend, and maybe they will. Maybe they will. This is going to be their coming out party. But with Gary and Josh, that's the team that I think would win. Personally, Gary, he has that leadership skill. He saved his boy Josh Bishop from a beatdown from Josh Prohibition. But again, that throws in the element: is Josh Prohibition going to be watching? Are Colin and Cheech going to be watching? Will they have a play or a part in their tournament action? And that's a possibility. When it comes to Chase and Trey, I just think they're a little too young and hot-headed to really win a tournament. I think they have the skills to pull it off, but I don't think they can control the skills. Trey re-kicked MM3 out. I'm not sure if that was a group decision and Trey was the guy they chose, or if that was Trey of his own free will kicking MM3 out. But Trey, he doesn't really play that well with others. Chase has had a few injuries, so I'm not sure if they can really put everything together and pull it off.
So probably what you could say is Trey Lamar and Chase Oliver, this is a combustible team.
Yeah, I would say that. I'm not saying they even dislike each other. I'm just saying that if something doesn't go one way or the other, there could be a potential explosion from that. Just from what I've seen from both men,
Yeah, I think Trey Lamar, I don't think everybody's ever said it, but he might be the loose cannon of the group, maybe especially with what he did to MM3, which I think with MM3, he was an official member. He was just a fill-in for, he just came in for those particular matchups because they needed someone, and I guess they paid him to fill in for that spot. But
when through the mercenary, I can see that for sure. The king of the streets, and see that's questionable to me, because if he's the king of the streets, where are the connections? How is he related to Flexer? How is he related to Thorne? How is he related to Wadsworth? Where is he oiling up the gears to get 2 no consequences teams in the tournament? That's my question.
A Flexer reference. That's classic.
Hey man, as far as I know, that's my boss, so he writes the check.
I'm the same way, but I happened to run into him recently, and I'm just like, when are we going to see you back, man? He's like, I've just been pretty busy lately. Got other people doing my work. Yeah, I'm like, hey, still great to see you.
Yeah, when you own a wrestling company, that's not really your only interests. You know, he's got other conglomerates and businesses to deal with. That you know, AIW is a passion project for Chest Flexor. But you know, sometimes he's got to focus on making that bread.
And then, like, we mentioned Trey Lamar, and as of this recording, just yesterday, he did happen to send a nice tweet that he tagged Wrestling Cheers in. He said, by this time next week, we'll be winning the first ever Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Tournament. So, right, he's out there already on social media calling the shot, saying we're winning.
Yeah, again, that's just some hot-headedness. That's some cockiness. That's some youthful arrogance. And I mean, you know, if we get put together, I will be more than happy to knock some sense into young Trey Lamar. I love him. He's a good brother at times, but he definitely just needs some sense knocked into him sometimes.
Is it potential that we will see the return of the Ain't Nothing But a Gangster Party version of Weird World, because that was a fan favorite, at least of the night, and that was like another side we had never really seen from you guys?
Well, I don't think you're going to get that extreme of a Weird World during the tournament, but we definitely wanted the Ain't Nothing But a Gangster Party 420 show to be a sort of wake up call. To borrow a phrase from a fellow competitor, I think that people have been sleeping on the Weird World, and we just wanted them to stay woke. You know what I mean? We wanted them to wake up to the Weird World, see what we truly had to offer, and then just kind of let the other tag teams know that you know, at the Biggins Cup, we ain't fucking around. You know, we are here to play. We're here to win. We are here to be the first ever Chandler Biggins Memorial Cup Tag Team Tournament winners.
Kind of going on the flip side of that, of someone or a team that is, you know, kind of all about a good time. We have the Philly Marino experience, Marino Tenaglia, Philly Collins. You know, they've made a name for themselves over the last year or so in AIW. I think maybe close to like 2 years, but I feel like the past year they've really hit their stride. I think it was within the last year or two they had their first Mount Carmel show, and you know they're going to come into the tournament for hopefully a good time for them, and you know hopefully they could win.
I love PME. PME is my favorite tag team that is not named the Weird World. I'll be honest. And at 420, basically, you know, we went out there to prove a point, and PME was in our way. And we just used that shopping cart to kind of run them over because they were in our way. And nothing against them. You know, they've been our tag team partners. They've had our backs. We've had their backs. But when it comes to the Chandler Biggins Memorial Cup, it's every team for themselves. So they can come having a good time. We still want to have a good time, but we've been down that route. That's been the Weird World's MO for a long time. But I think at, you know, Nothing But a Gangster Party, we need to find a balance between having a good time and being serious ass kickers. And we're going to try and find that balance, Chandler, you know, Biggins Cup. And if we face the PME, we'll just, you know, if they're in our way again, we'll run them over again. And, you know, no offense to Philly, no offense to Marino, they're our boys, but that's just the way the game goes. And, you know, best of luck. If we see you in the finals, we see you in the finals. But again, if you are in our way, we're going to run you over. End of story.
So basically, what we have with the Weird World and Philly Marino experiences, it's kind of a good friend, but a potentially better rivals coming. Yeah.
I mean, not to mention, I believe we were their first actual tag match in AIW, if I'm not mistaken. I know Philly had a singles match against Frankie Flynn before, but I believe PME versus Weird World was PME's first tag match. And I mean, that was as fun as a wrestling match can be. They've been, anytime we're across the ring from them, you know, we know there's going to be a good time. So we love to face them, but, I think in this, context of trying to win the Biggins Cup, I'd rather just pummel enemies, to be honest. But if that's the way the cookie crumbles and we do have to face PME, they're going to be in for a rough time as well as a good time, probably, because getting beat up is fun, and every wrestler knows that.
When it comes to beating up people, there might be a tag team that's no better, and also a nice little opposite of the PME is Duke Money. We have Jock Samson, Mance Warner with the Duke, and Duke is no stranger to, I know, Weird World. And, this tag team they're looking for their own good time. Yeah, they're looking to either have a light beer or a full Budweiser, but they're definitely a team looking to kick some ass, too.
Yeah, Duke Money, this is how I feel. Jock Samson and Mance Warner are two great talents, I can't deny their skill in the ring. Jock Samson's finisher is a hip toss. That takes, in 2018, that's a fucking, if you can put someone away with a hip toss, you're talented, straight up. But the Duke is a parasite. The Duke is someone who has been just leeching any and all popularity from AIW that he can, just kind of inserting himself because he has money and because he can buy his way in. And to me, that's disgusting. I'm someone who, once I realized I wanted to be a wrestler, I knew that I had to join a school and take bumps and just earn my keep. And I don't know. I know that the Duke has done that, a long time ago. I think, I heard that he tried out, with Ric Flair and Iron Sheik in the Vern Gagne school. I can't, verify that, but I know that the Duke trained a long time ago, but at this point, he's just a dinosaur. He just needs to get out of the business, and I hope that at the Chandler Biggins Cup, Duke Money loses first round because of Duke interference, and Mance and Jock can free the chains that are the Duke, off themselves. And that too, the Duke finally realized that nobody likes him, and he can just go retire. That would be nice. That would be ideal for Chandler Biggins Cup.
I pretty much believe Jock said that, he likes money, so as long as the money keeps flowing in, he's definitely going to be a part of this tag team.
Well, I think, I'm not one for economic sabotage all the time, but I think this is one of the circumstances in which, we just need to find Duke's money and just invest it in bad stocks or something. Just ruin the Duke's finances. I think that should be an AIW mission, to be honest. But that's just my personal feelings on the matter.
So basically, you have Duke Money going bankrupt in the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament.
Yep. Listen, I'll talk to the people who run, Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, I believe. And we'll see how much stocks are. We'll see if we can get Mance in on the company. He can make his own money. That's what I want Mance to see. I want Mance to be a self-made man. Jock can be a self-made man. I'm sure, there are, big 10-gallon hat companies that need investors. And you know what? I think they can get rid of the Duke by, really just making their own money, They don't need Duke money, they need Jock money, they need Mance money. That's what I'm saying here.
Yeah, but I think Jock money and Mance Warner money is beer money, and that's sadly already taken when it comes down to between those two competitors.
Those are, as true as that may be, they can be light beer money. I don't think that's taken.
The only problem is Jock doesn't like light beer.
Light, they can make it work, they can make it work. I'm saying they just need, not a literal Mance money, not a literal Jock money, but they just need to be self-made men, like the Weird World.
And then when it comes to drinking, some would say the party never stops. When it comes to Big Twan Tucker and Parker Pierce, this is obviously a newer team in AIW, and I do believe they hold a victory over the Weird World that got them
they do.
That got them a title shot.
So when it comes to the party never stops, they're personally the team I would like to face first round because of that victory. At Death Row, Party Parker Pierce surprised me with, I believe he called it the Flip Cup, and pinned me 1, 2, 3 on the mat. Got me fair and square in the ring, and I've been thinking about that a lot. Probably too much. Because I've seen Party Parker, Pierce, and Big Twan Tucker come up. I've seen them train. I've seen, they're greenhorns to me. I'm not a big fan of using, vet slang like that, but, to me, I've seen them come up. I was there, for the first day. They're rookies to me, and to see them beat me, it's this weird sense of pride and also anger, because I know, I know more tricks than them. I can beat them one-on-one, but they do have that fierce, raw, kind of ferocity, that power, that just it overwhelmed me in the moment. And I mean, they earned a tag title shot from beating us. If that says anything to anyone. But so yeah, they and I've watched that match countless times, honestly, seeing where I could improve, where I could get the one up on them. So if not this weekend, eventually I do want to face the Party Never Stops, and I want to even the score. Because that loss has ate up too much of my personal time, and I need the safety, the soundness of mind, to be honest.
Yeah, I think could possibly with that is they were, maybe it was a beginner's luck that caused them to beat you. Maybe not necessarily skill, but I mean, they didn't become tag team champions, so there's
that
one way to
is
look
true. But again, they were facing a WWE type talent in Swoggle, who has a win over the Weird World as well. So I can see why they lost. Beginner's luck it's a theory. I think it plays a small part, but I don't think it's the main reason, just because that's kind of saying it wasn't my fault, and it wasn't placing the blame elsewhere, where the Weird World needs to improve. If we don't improve and we keep blaming luck or just any superstitious, mysterious force that we can't understand, we're not going to improve. I think we need to understand the Weird World, understand how we operate, really just understand the mechanisms, and just and when we do lose, admit we can do better. We can do better. We can do better. And the goal is to do better. And Biggins Cup, if we face Party It Never Stops, we are going to do better. We are going to get our win back, and we are going to advance or even win the Biggins Cup because we did better.
Then there's only one tag team left, and making their return to AIW in, God, I forget the last time we actually seen them, but the Carnies. Kerry Awful, Nick Iggy, and maybe it's because the first two teams announced was yourself, the Weird World, and the Carnies. It's kind of a match that I think would be really cool to see in the first round.
Yeah, the Carnies, they are, I think, the name team in the tournament. They have done the most traveling. They've been around the longest. I believe the last time we saw them was the previous Hardcore Rap show. I'm blanking on the name, but they faced Eric Ryan and Bobby Beverly, the Young Studs, who, just to mention, are not in the Chandler Biggins Memorial Cup. I believe because at a gangster party, they were in our match, they saw what the Weird World could do, and they realized that, hey, if we can't beat the Weird World in a hardcore capacity, we don't really have a chance in a normal tournament setting. So I believe they opted out. But the Carnies, getting back to my point, they've done a lot. They are, I think, the main worry of the tournament. And they listen. To me, they're just smoke and mirrors. I was an actual carny. I know what actual carnies are like. I can deal with actual carnies. These carnies, Nikki and Carrie Awful, they never worked a spot in their life. They never tore down no rides. They put on the top hat, they put on the gargoyle mask, and they want to just play make believe. And as an actual carny, it's a little disgusting. And they also use the term carnival. The carnival and the circus. They use the term circus. And the carnival and the circus are two wildly different things. The circus is more of a freak show type, big top. The carnival, is just more of a midway, tons of games. And so to see that, see them appropriating carny culture like that is disgusting. And if we face off in the opening round or in the finals, or anywhere in between, I'm going to just really show them why what they're doing is wrong, and hopefully they can just go back to being normal human beings and not portraying a life they never were. They want to talk about it. I want to be about it. That's it. That's how I feel about the carnies.
I think that's well put. Definitely well put. But I think you also hurt a lot of juggalos there with telling you the difference between a circus and a carnival. But that's off topic a little bit.
Listen, I'm down with the family. I'll drink some Faygo, bro. Peach is the best flavor. But if you prefer another flavor, that's cool. Whoop whoop. I'm down with the Dark Carnival.
I was always a fan of the.
That's my official opinion.
I was always a fan of the Blue Moon Mist. That was because it just didn't taste.
Blue Moon Mist, that's a classic, man.
Because it didn't taste much like
candy
anything
apple.
else. I think I have had candy apple. Oddly enough, I think I had candy apple after an AIW show once.
Oh man, that's candy apple and peach. I think are the two best flavors. Cotton candy is my least favorite because it tastes burnt, and I don't know how they accomplish that. I'm a Faygo fanboy till I die, but I will talk some shit about cotton candy, to be honest.
I think the one that I never got was Rock and Rye.
Rock and Rye is great, actually. You do need to pick that up.
I mean, what I mean by God is I've had it, but I don't like it like the way people like it. I'm like, I forget what it tastes like. I swear it almost just tastes like a cream soda.
Yeah, it's like a weird cream soda cola combination. Yeah, it's something else. I haven't had one in a while. Now you're making me crave one. But yeah, no, it's Rock and Rye is its own thing, and it definitely, I can definitely see where you can't get it. Yeah, but long live Faygo. To be honest, that's my official opinion about this whole podcast. If there's any thing that survives 100 years from this podcast, long live Faygo.
And we do have one other match to talk about. Didn't really get much into it with Jock, but I feel like you have a lot more expertise on this match. It is the only announced non-tournament match, and that's the 4-way match. And this is kind of what we've had when it comes to these additional matches with day 2 of JLIT and of the other show. And that is the rookie match of Ryder Reed versus Zach Thomas versus Wes Barkley versus TKD, which I thought it was Taekwondo Tom Bigley, if I got that name right.
Tom Kwando.
Okay,
I believe
that's what we're going on now. Okay, gotcha.
I believe is what it stands for. And yeah, I mean, these are, I believe they've all had, I wouldn't say practice matches, but just kind of, the idea is to put them on lesser shows, more of, spot shows, just kind of, we'll do, events for random events, just for, private, maybe not private parties, but just, like we had a show for a, hookah convention that everyone, got to wrestle on. So they've had a little seasoning, but this is definitely going to be the culture shock of stepping into an AIW ring for them all. And I mean, this will probably be their third professional match in front of a crowd for each of them. So this is a big day for all four men. Let's see, let's see, how do I want to sec them? I think they all they're all their own person, and I think that's what AEW really does best. You're not going to really see a someone you can look at and just be like, this is X light, or this is, reminds me too much of another wrestler. I think you're going to just see unique talents in this match. We have Tom Kwon-do, who I don't know the exact specifics of his background, but has a legitimate background in Taekwondo. I mean, as you noticed with, Dom Guarini or just any Shayna Baszler, anyone with any legitimate martial art backgrounds, they bring something unique to the table. With Taekwondo, I believe Tom can really just prove his difference in this match, and really just stand out from that background alone. When it comes to Maserati West, he's just, I love him. I personally love him. He's just an eccentric type. Just kind of does his own thing, says what he wants to, and there's a certain pizzazz about him, a certain charisma, that he's just super likable, just very kind of suave, and is his own thing, and sometimes he'll just say things that'll make you just look twice, you know what I mean? And he's just his own. He's Maserati West, and that's Wes Barkley, and that's really the only way to describe him. And at the Biggins Cup, I think fans will see why. Let's see. Next, we have Zach Thomas. I believe he is the man on a warpath, and he's intense, man. I faced him at a UXWA show with Dr. Dan by his side, and he is just hard hitting. He's just compact. He's a compact, stout dude, and he's pretty intense in a lot of things that he does. He really throws you around and really just beats on you. So I think having him being the heavy hitter will add to kind of give this match another complex flavor, really, along with the martial arts and the just the unique charisma of Wes Barkley. You're going to the power is going to just really be shown off there. And then finally we have Ryder Reed. With Ryder Reed, he's a darker character, just kind of, I'm not sure what his exact beliefs are. I'm not sure if he's Levian, or really what, but he kind of has this, Sinister Minister-esque quality to him, where he practices maybe some dark arts, gets on some, dark astrology, perhaps. I'm not really sure, but there's just a very, occult tinge to him that, I'm a very open person, believe what you want to believe, but even that kind of, gives me the, willy-nillys, if you will. And he's I'm not really sure what his mission is, in AIW, but, that's what we'll see in the four-way is what he has to offer, and maybe, why Ryder Reed is right. I don't know. Ryder Reed is a mystery to me at this point, and hopefully we can unravel some of it at the Chandler Biggins Cup.
I think Ryder Reed is the mystery to me too. I've seen Zach Thomas around for a couple of years, Wes Barkley or Maserati West. Just kind of reading off the graphic where it still says Wes Barkley, but I know now he's going by Maserati West.
No, Maserati West is just what the boys call him. He is
okay.
I call him Maserati West.
Well, I'd seen like he had changed part of his like Twitter headline or his name, whatever, to Maserati West, and so I thought that may be a different. Kind of has a good ring to. Wes Barkley too, though, was a name that we've heard a lot about on the AIW podcast. He was a guy way before this, was making appearance, talking kind of getting fans used to him. And Tom Kwon-Do was a guy that I've mentioned here on the podcast a couple times. He's a guy that I knew his face, I didn't know his name, and we actually officially introduced ourselves to each other. So it was okay, now we know who each other are. And obviously, he was definitely one of those guys you could okay, he's a student. We're going to eventually see him more. So I was just kind of waiting on that opportunity, and this is going to be it.
Yeah. Tom and Wes have been around for a while. Wes actually, he got injured during training, so he's been around a lot longer than I think most people realize. But yeah, they're two people who have really just kind of laid the groundwork in at shows where I mean, I think I credit that with when the Weird World debuted, the whole audience, not my fans, not Worldwide's friends, just the whole audience cheered for us because we had been bartending and been selling beer tickets, and just we've been around. People knew us, people saw our faces, people liked us. So it's just I think that's part of the beauty of it is for fans and wrestlers to be I remember back when, even before I was wrestling, I was just behind, the beer tickets, the merch tables, wherever. And, I was interacting with fans, and fans would say, I remember that guy from way back when, and I think that's, a beautiful little thing that AIW does. And I'm excited for, the fans who have seen Wes and Tom and heard about them and interacted with them and Ryder and Zach to an extent as well, to just see them debut and see them do the thing that they love. You know what I mean? That's always a great thing.
And then the last thing to touch on before we go is, this is the first ever Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament. And I know you had, some stuff to say before, and this is kind of your opportunity to say how you feel about being in this first tournament and what Chandler Biggins meant to you.
All right, loaded question. So being in this tournament means the world to me. I mean, we've had an AIW tag team title shot before, but I think this is bigger, personally, to me. I'm not sure if Worldwide feels the same way, but I know that for me, this is the biggest show we've ever been on. And I mean, there's not, a WWE talent scout. There's no way I could, you look at the card and it's not the biggest show to a lay person. I've worked against, a BJ Whitmer. I've worked against Little Guido. I've wrestled names, but to me, this Chandler Biggins Memorial Club is the biggest show I have ever worked. And mainly because when I joined the school, I really shouldn't be a wrestler physically. I don't have the body for it. But when I joined, I think there was a weird month awkwardness between all the students and Biggins and Thorne. But I said something, I believe it was about Bill Watts' top rope rule. And it was just wrestling nerd enough to where Biggins took a liking for me. And, really ever since then, watched out for me. And just, he was, the guy to where, I might have quit if it wasn't for him and being in my ear and just in general his support and his guidance, really. And I know I'm not the only one who can say, I would say the whole school, in the early days, Thorne was the bad cop and Biggins was the good cop. So I think Thorne viewed the school as more of a necessary chore, and Biggins viewed it as something greater or just what it was, which was a bunch of wrestling fans coming together and learning how to be wrestlers and just sharing our love of wrestling. And I think Thorne eventually warmed up and came around to our way, but just, I think the school wouldn't have lasted. I think the school probably would have closed by now if Biggins hadn't been as, vocal and supportive, in the early months as he was. And I know I'm not the only one who said that. I know at, his, funeral, I believe I was fortunate enough to be a pallbearer for one of my best friends, and so was Pedro. And Pedro, he basically put into words what I was feeling, and that was basically, I wouldn't be involved in wrestling if it wasn't for you. And I know Pedro is one of the greatest humans I've ever really met. So like for him to say that, for him to not be involved in wrestling, if it wasn't for Biggins, it really showed how many people, really, Biggins is responsible for in wrestling, for better or worse. But just how many people owe Biggins, I wouldn't be doing what I love if it wasn't for Chandler Biggins. So to fight in his honor, to fight for his name, to try and win the, I'm not even try. I am going to win the Chandler Biggins Memorial Cup for him, for his honor, because day one, me and him, are brothers. And I mean, he just personally affected me a lot. I wouldn't be getting to do what I love if it wasn't for Chandler Biggins. So I'm going to repay that. I mean, I can never repay what he gives me each and every day. But I'm going to try my hardest. And I think the first step to even trying to do that is to win the Biggins Memorial Cup in his name, in his honor, and for his legacy.
All right, that was beautiful words there. Let's
thank you.
Let's wrap this up. And any final thoughts about the JLIT weekend that you want to express, and where can the people find you?
All right. Let's see. So JLIT weekend. I mean, just come out. Just show up. Night one, day show, Chandler Biggins Memorial Cup, or night two. It doesn't matter if you can attend all three or just one of them. Wrestling is awesome, and I think you should get involved in your independent scene. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir right now, but that's how I feel. As to where people can reach me at, let's see. I believe Twitter and Instagram, Weird Body EA, and then on Facebook, if you search Evan Adams, or probably just Evan Adams, and then in parentheses Weird Body, you'll know that's me. But yeah, if you want to reach me, contact me for any reason, really, that's where you can find me. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Weird Body.
No, thank you.
Hey, everybody, this is Jock Samson, and if you ain't listening to Wrestling Cheers podcast, you are a low-down piece of shit. And if you don't listen to it, I'm going to come to your house, and I'm going to beat up your entire family, and especially your grandmama. Listen or burn in hell.
So, once again, that is the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament this Saturday, May 28th, 3 o'clock bell time at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, 1355 West 70th Street, Cleveland, Ohio. Tickets available at shop.aiwrestling.com. The tournament does consist of The Weird World, The Carnies, The Production, Party Never Stops, No Consequences, 2 teams of No Consequences, hashtag Duke Money, and the Philly Marino Experience. And of course, we do have the 4-way tag match, Ryder Reed versus Zach Thomas versus Wes Barkley versus TKD. And you're not going to want to miss this or either the JLIT, which is also this coming weekend. Just throw this out there really quick. Obviously, the JT Lightning Invitational Tournament is Friday and Saturday, May 25th and 26th, 7:30 bell time for both shows at Our Lady of Mount Carmel, 1355 West 70th Street, Cleveland, Ohio. Tickets still available also at shop.aiwrestling.com, and we will get into all the previewing of that in the next episode later this week. So that will do it for us here on Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, even if you voted for Donald Trump. Later.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Would you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where